we had been wrestling each other for years. Every match got better and better. It was, I almost want to say flawless. I don't want to say it, but I almost want to say it was flawless. Bucky and I just had that chemistry that, like, certain people can get in the ring and have with certain people. And so I say my top, the number 4 would be just the feud itself with Bucky Collins that went about 6, 7, 8 months down at FCW in Florida, in Illinois. Shit. Number 3. Number 3 would have to be my ladder match with Joey Avalon. Back when NWA Wisconsin was still the thing. We had a ladder match for the NWA Wisconsin heavyweight title, which I was a champion at the time, and he was chasing me, and it culminated in a ladder match in Rockwood, Wisconsin. So that'd be my number 3 match. Number 2, I'd have to say I had not too long ago with Mario Crivello at ACW for the ACW heavyweight title. Mario and I feel like it was another like Bucky situation. We just kind of clicked in the ring, and it was just a really, really good match. I can't even say any more about it. Let's see. Number 1 would have to be the match I had not too long ago for Under the Lights Entertainment, UTL, with Silas Young in Eagle River, Wisconsin. That match to me was probably, it's got to be the best match I've ever had, honestly. Silas is another guy who's one of those ROH style guys, and you guys know that. And just being in the ring with Silas then, as opposed to when I was in the ring with him years earlier, it was just so much of a difference, and I could see that I had grown in so many different ways, and he saw it too, because he said it to me, and we went out there and we had a 5-star match, man, in front of a lot of people, and it was one of those things. I didn't win the match, but the fans definitely saw something special, and you could tell they did, because they all stood up and applauded after the match and after he was gone, and after I was left in the ring laying. So that would be my number 1 match, is my match a few years back now with Silas Young and Under the Lights Entertainment. So.
Yeah, I saw a couple of matches with Silas Young, and I'm just always impressed with his work. And now just imagining, you versus Silas Young, that's kind of like one of those mind-blowing deals, and I really wished I would have been there. If I could just find even the footage of that would just be amazing. One match that I definitely really enjoyed, that I think I've gone and talked to you about this quite a few times, was your match against Logan Lynch. I think it was last September. I think it was for Returning Point.
Yeah, for at Stevens Point. And that's one of my top matches too. I mean, I don't want to take away from that match, because that was such a great match too, and that's probably should be in there in that 1 through 5. But because for Logan being as young as he is, and so many great ideas, and just the two of us, we did something special too, and that should have been in there somewhere too. But it was just honestly something. It was something about my maturity level and my growing that I saw in that Silas match that I have to say. That's why that's number 1 as opposed to what that Logan match would have been. But
hey, fair enough to me. Speaking of Ring of Honor, I actually did hear that you were brought in to do a tryout with Ring of Honor, if I'm not mistaken. How did that go? Because I'd only heard like little bits and pieces of that.
Yeah, I did the Ring of Honor. I did the tryout camp. We were you paid a little fee and you do the two-day camp, which any wrestlers that are out there listening that haven't done this camp, if you run and work for Ring of Honor, do that camp. It's the only way you're probably going to be looked at by them. It's the best camp I've ever done. 9 o'clock in the morning to almost 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And then the same thing the next day. It's a Saturday and Sunday thing. And you get your money's worth, just to put it out there. But it went good. The few things that they asked me to correct, I've actually been correcting. One was promo skills, and the other was my gear. They didn't give me the worst review on my work. My work wasn't what they wanted me to work on. They kind of line us all up the last day, and they give you a yes or no, and the yeses that I got were good. The nos I got were really on my gear and my promos, which those have, I think, improved. And the gear part, I've got different gear, and I've got other gear being made. But it went really good, man. It was a hell of an experience, and honestly, I'd do it again if I really, needed to, so to speak. But, I mean, it got me in front of those guys, and they now know who I am. I mean, I've gone to a few more shows. I've gotten to, sit at that table and grab those streamers out of the ring. And then in Florida, I was at Supercard of Honor. I was one of Dalton Castle's boys as an extra. So, I mean, it obviously got me, noticed by them, and they obviously, keep in contact with us again. It's helped plenty of guys. Silas, Bruiser, Beast Lady Bruiser, Jared Jacks, as of late, he just worked that match in Milwaukee for Ring of Honor. He also did that camp. It's really the only way you're going to be looked at, man, and it went really good. Ring of Honor is a great company. They truly do have, like, the best wrestling in the world, too. So, still a place I'm trying to go to. I do as best as I can to stay on their radar, and as for what it's worth, if you walk in a building for a show and they're not expecting you, it's nice to see that some of those guys remember you, especially the guys like Christopher Daniels, who is like the head of that camp. For him to know who I am and remember me from the camp and say, hey, we need this and we need that, and then they use me for something. They're using me because they remember me, and there's something about me they remember. So, I mean, all in all, it was a great experience, and it went good.
Wow, major props from the champ himself. That is quite something. But also, in addition to with the whole Ring of Honor deal, I actually did know. Well, actually, I think it was AJ that kind of picked this out. You actually did a little bit of a brief deal in WWE, if I'm not mistaken.
I've been an extra a few times now. Back in was that October, November? A few of us from Wisconsin were extras for SmackDown and Raw. A couple of us were security during that pull apart between Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. Was it Seth Rollins, I believe?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've done extra work, and I also, years ago, did the extra work with David Otunga when he hosted Raw. I was one of those guys that were part of his A-list, celebrity group thing. So, yeah, I've done some stuff with them, and, it's just nice to go to those places and be on their radar. It's nice to get that email or that phone call and be on their radar. That's really what I can say is the most, because even if they don't use you for something, you're there all day and you get to see how that, $1 billion production is put together both days. And those guys work their butts off, whether it's in the ring or the guys in the back. And, it's just an experience, man, and I'm grateful for being able to do any of it. So.
Well, and also in the world of professional wrestling, you kind of hit the nail on the head, having, kind of expect the unexpected. But there are times where something unexpected happens and it's kind of leaves you in a little bit of shock or leaves you a little bit of like, what do I do? Has there ever been a time where there's been like a wrestling match or a promo or something like that where something, you're not expecting just happens and it's like, what exactly do I do? Kind of not quite to the point of the deer in the headlights kind of moment, but just one of those things where it's kind of like a quick reaction, like, okay, let's try this, see what happens.
Yeah, there's been plenty in the past, but I'll just bring up one that just actually happened on Saturday. For MEPW, I was wrestling against Nell Dillinger, 2 out of 3 falls match. I lost that match. Later on in the evening, I turned on Team Unbreakable, and I was cutting a promo, and for some odd reason, I know he was part of the group, but Garrison Creed came out and tried to make the save while Xavier Mustafa and Sean Priest and myself are in the ring. And he's trying to make the save on Tiny Love. And there's just one of them, and he gets in the ring, and he's kind of just looking at us. And I just look at Xavier and Sean and say, kick his ass too. And that's exactly what we did. Because it was one of those things, like, we didn't expect to see him. I was in the middle of cutting a promo, and he just kind of walked out. And obviously there was something else I didn't know. Somebody sent them out there, but it was one of those things where we're sitting there, and he didn't even know it was coming, and we just pretty much jumped him. It's kind of what has to happen. I mean, otherwise, if I look stupid, you look stupid, we all look stupid in the ring. What good does that do anybody? So,
you make a fair point. I mean, sometimes if they get caught in the heat of the moment, it's like, oh, let's try and do this, and then next thing you know, it's like, yeah, you tried looking like this, but in the end, you just looked a little bit like, I'm not gonna be too vulgar against it, because I've already felt the chops of Garrison Creed, and I don't want him to come after me again. So, and I've also felt your chops too. So in all honesty, and I still love during the video, you're like the only guy who shows just like a tiny bit of sympathy for me, where you just say like, "Hi guys of the podcast, yeah, this guy's gonna die. Sorry man, plop." Boom to go.
I mean, I had to, man. I mean, chops are not fun, man. I mean, but it's it is what it is. I never encourage anybody. I get fans all the time. Hey, man, will you chop me? No, I'm not going to chop you. Why? Why do you want to be chopped? I understood your circumstance, but like, why does anybody want to be chopped? I don't even want to be chopped when I'm in the ring. So why am I going to be like, yeah, dude, stand right here and I'm going to give you like 10 chops? No. Not going to do that. Stay there and be a fan, and don't worry about what chops feel like. It's okay. Trust me. They hurt. There's your answer. They hurt.
They do hurt, and I still have a bit of the marks from that. But
man, that was a long time ago too.
That was, and it still feels like yesterday, where it's just like, oh my gosh, people are still gonna bring up that video and be like, yeah, you remember when you got chopped? Like, yeah, that was a very fun-filled night. I remember. After the show, Chris actually gave me a bit of a hug, and I just remember saying, "Hey," and he's like, "Oh, dude, yeah, you're still feeling for the chops." It's like, yeah, it kind of feels like a sunburn right now, and it just feels bad. So you guys did quite the number on me. So I'm definitely taking your advice and just saying, nope, I'm good on chops. I took about 8 from you guys, and it was enough for me. It was enough for me. So when you look back on your career and you want people to summarize your career, or just basically what you want them to look back on you for, what is like the one thing that you want to leave as like part of your legacy as a wrestler?
TW3 was a guy that you could put in any situation and he could make the best out of it. Honestly. I've been in the ring with some really, really good people, and nerves or not, I've gone out there and I've done exactly what I needed to do to get the job done as far as putting on a great show for the fans. I've also been in a ring with some really horrible people, and I know what it's like to be horrible, because I wasn't that good when I started. But I've been in the ring with some people like that, and sometimes you have to make the most out of the situation and do what you have to do to keep it kosher, I guess you should say, because frustrations happen in the ring a lot, man, and not everybody can handle it the right way. So, that's definitely one thing. TW3 is one of those guys you can put in the ring, and he can make the best out of any situation. Remember me for my high flying and my, I don't want to say death-defying, but my ability to reach new heights with different things I did. Let's just say that. I have no fear. I really don't. I have tried just about anything and everything when it comes to dives and different moves. And you got to try it to see if it's going to work at least once. So remember me for being fearless, because, I do things, in and outside of the ring that a lot of people can't do, wish they could do, and a lot of people wonder why I even do it to myself. So let's say, fearless and make the best out of any situation. And honestly, a fun-loving guy. I'm a nice person. I can be an asshole, I'm not going to lie to you, but, I mean, TW3 as a whole, as a character, I'm a fun-loving guy. I like to have fun. I like to party with the fans. I like to, have a good time in the ring, even when it's playing jokes on people, backstage. I'm, a fun-loving person. So, those 3 things would pretty much sum me up. And as far as, like, I don't want people to remember me as a spot monkey. I hate that, because a lot of people, oh, yeah, we bring TW3, and that guy does a lot of good spots. He's a good spots.